let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. I got the wife with me.
Hello.
And someone named Angie Gracie on here. She called me out for the clap because I told everybody I do it. So you know I'm recording, and I'm still doing it. It's still kind of so she knows I'm recording. She called me out though. I was like, "Whoa, this person really watches."
Wow, that's great.
I'm like, "Oh, geez."
That's so funny.
She's right.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. I told everybody that.
That's funny.
All right. We got Joe Rogan, Jim Norton. They're sitting down discussing a very weird story that happened with Jim Norton, where he decided to do what he does, make fun of somebody, and that person ended up being a murderer.
Yeah.
Like, just a wild story. Very weird story. And Jim Norton's connection to it is something that we'll be playing right after we play the Joe Rogan clip of him and Jim talking about it. So let's get into that real quick. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got the new Sold Not For Sale. We got George Orwell Was Right. Look around and you'll see. And we got Unjabbed and Proud. Discount code is IamCoachColin. All capital letters, all one word. 1 L in the name Colin. Let's get into this clip.
Like if he said it to another comic, I wouldn't care. Right. But this is just some fucking lady who really thought it was funny, and obviously I did sound like that. But you know, it kind of just it makes you almost hyper aware of everything you say.
Right. And that's our baseline normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't function with that. I can't be in a relationship with someone who isn't like that, who doesn't appreciate that. I just
it's not fun.
It's not fun. And if you always have to watch what you're saying, or you're always worried I'm going to upset them by being too harsh, or they're too fragile. You know,
now imagine that same sort of philosophy, that same mindset, and then you apply it to work. So work, when you have to work somewhere, most of the time you don't get to choose the people you work with. You work with the people who also work at the place you work, and then you have to deal with all these fucking bullshit sensitivities that they might be bringing to the table.
Yeah, and there's also a penalty in those situations where if you say something people don't like, they go to human resources, which nothing destroys fun like fucking human resources.
Especially when their job is only to make sure the company doesn't get sued.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, it's all that lawsuits. That really is. I mean, even at work, like, you know, on the air we can say what we want. They never fuck with us. But I don't talk to anybody in the office. I mean, I don't fucking hi, hello, and keep walking. I don't want any miscommunications, any misinterpretations.
Right. Or any opportunity for someone to just be deceitful. Someone to pretend that you said something. Or lock you into some sort of a weird deal where it's easier. I know people that have had to do that, where it's easier to pay someone than it is to deal with the ramifications of being falsely charged with whatever.
Yeah, or he said this to me, and it's like, how do I prove that I didn't say that to you?
Right.
There's no...
Yeah, there's people that make money suing companies, too. It's a real good way to go.
I got sued. I mean, it's why I have E&O insurance, because I got fucking sued for $500,000. It was that fucking for defamation, because I shit on that lawyer on the air when he called in. He was like the guy's right activist, and he called up, and I insulted him for an hour, and I implied that he fucked chickens. Like, it was funny. And I remember saying, like, he sued me for defamation, and I remember saying, this guy wants to kill me, but he can't, so he's getting me legally. Because we met once. He thought I wanted to settle with him because he amended his complaint. He said that I was having people send him anthrax or white powder implying it was anthrax. It was fucking crazy. So I had him meet in my lawyer's office just to tell him, like, dude, that's insane. I thought, like, as two people. Right. But he thought I was going to settle. So we shook hands and met, and he was just like a little fishy, weird guy. And then he just continued to sue me, and it finally went away. I had a great lawyer. And in court 8 months later, or 9 months later, the judge didn't like him, and my attorney started reading things I said to him on the air, and all the other lawyers in the court started laughing, and all those people laughing at him got him to go, oh, Your Honor, we can settle this. So they went in the back, and that was it. No money was paid. It was just dropped.
Oh, he just didn't want to be mocked.
And he didn't want to be mocked, and he wrote like this manifesto, and he mentioned me in it. And that guy, over the fucking pandemic, dressed up like a FedEx worker and went to a judge's house and shot her son and killed him.
That was the guy?
That's the same guy, Royden Hollander. And
that was the guy that sued
That's the guy that sued me.
Holy shit.
And he went to, he was going to, I think, murder Sonia Sotomayor, I think her name is, the Supreme Court Justice, and they said he might have killed somebody else in LA, they don't know. But yeah, he was going to shoot her, and her son answered the door.
Holy shit,
yeah,
dude.
But I knew that guy. It was more than a lawsuit because he had challenged me to a duel. I didn't tell you. On the air, he goes, "Do you want to go to South America and have a duel?" Like, it was really bizarre that he chose.
Like one of those 10 paces things?
Yes. Like it was so nuts.
Whoa.
And then he started wanting to come back in studio and fight us. He's like, it'll just be me against the three hosts fighting. All these crazy messages.
Oh my God.
But I
can't believe that was the guy. I never knew that.
That's the guy. Yeah. So that, like, when that type of shit happens, it's like, it does change you a little bit. You're like, wow, that guy was right. That guy literally wanted to murder me. It wasn't me being crazy or paranoid. And And most people, from what I heard, he had cancer. Like they said, he had like incurable stage 4 cancer, and then he wound up doing that, and then he just blew his brains out, shot himself.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they never got him. He did it himself.
He killed himself. Yeah, I think the cops were coming to get him, and he killed himself. So yeah, that could have been a lot worse.
Boy.
And I look back on that, and I also feel good about myself. Like, hey, you read this guy right. Like I read what type of person he was. Like you get pretty good instincts. Like if somebody's heckling you, you understand, is this guy having fun, or is this guy trying to be a piece of shit because he resents me? You learn pretty quickly to read motives.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just an animal gut instinct, but I'm like, this guy's a fucking problem. So yeah, I got very lucky with that we never it never got to that.
I wonder how much you having him humiliated ramped up all of his anger. It led to him murdering people.
I don't know, because it was years later, and it was also, he had this thing with women. Like, well, I originally we were going to interview him because he was suing Columbia because of their guys' studies or women's studies, sorry. And so I was like, look, I don't like anything that's progressive and exclusive by nature. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, how come they're not doing guys' studies? So I'm like, let's see what. But then it became apparent he just sues women. So then we started to make fun of him because it's like, it wasn't the principle of Columbia doing this. It was like, you just have a fucking hard-on and want to sue women. So then we kind of made fun of him. And it got ugly, and I was just being a dick like I was on the air. And that's what really, but I think he had so many of these problems, and it was much more about women than anything I said to him. Like my humiliation of him was years earlier, but I do think I humiliated him, and he really wanted to, because my attorney at the time, his name was Tom Ferber. He was a great lawyer, and my law firm hated him so much they retroactively knocked down what they were charging me. They go, this guy's such a bad guy that we're going to charge you less, and we're going to make it retroactive. Like, they were so offended by what he was doing as an attorney.
Wow.
So I got lucky with really good people, and they really took good care of me.
You also got lucky that you caught him before the cancer.
Yes, 100%, because, again, do I think he would have hunted me down and killed? No, I think the judge for him was a bigger one. But, I mean, I'm sure it would have felt good for him if he could have.
Especially if he was on a run. So let me stop by the radio station.
Yeah. And oddly enough, it happened in the town I grew up in, which was, again, a pure coincidence. But it happened in North Brunswick.
Wow.
He went to kill her, and just, unfortunately, her son answered the door.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, you get, like, I've gotten so many threats over the years. Like, and, like, legit, radio, podcasting, you don't see, it's not like live stand-up. Like, there's a lot of people that you don't see. And I used to answer them. I have hundreds of fucking hate mail messages. And I used to go back and forth with people. And I eventually stopped, because then people, like, I had a couple people talking about, you better watch your back, or talking about getting shot, and they were using their real names. I'm like, all right, if this guy's using his real name, there's something wrong with him.
Right.
Like, and I don't know what he looks like, and he knows what I look like.
Yeah.
But I eventually stopped reading it or responding to it, because
the thing about the O&A show, though, it was a very aggressive show.
Yeah.
And aggressive in shitting on people, aggressive in attacking people, and the weaponization of the pests.
Yeah, and they kind of did it on their own, and we enjoyed it because they were really funny. Like, they would do some really funny shit. Like, we would do Jocktobers and just torture another.
We should tell everybody what the pests of the audience.
Oh, they were just these O&A fans.
Very really connected, very committed fans.
Yeah, and Pest was just this dumb affectionate, because they were just pests. They would just annoy people. And we would take over and just like fuck with another radio show. It would only happen for a day, though. You'd be in and out for a day. They'd put all these horrible things on their Facebook page. The Facebook page would shut down, and then the next day it would be another.
Well, Jocktober was just making fun of like corny radio guys.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had to go on because I had the advantage of doing radio, but also of going on the road. And I had been on shows, and they're like, you Jocktobered us. So I had to go and face some of these fucking people. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's like being overheard talking shit, but...
What'd you say to them when you were in studio?
I mean, look, they were cooler with it than I would have thought. And there was one time in Boston, we had really been brutal to this show. And
What show was it?
I don't remember. It's been years ago. I don't remember the show. I didn't remember the Jocktobering. But Kenny comes out, and I was waiting to do a show, and he goes, hey, you Jocktobered these people, and they want to know if you have the guts to come in studio. And I'm like, yeah. So I went right in, because you have to. I would rather just face it. And then we kind of talked about it, and it was okay. It wasn't as aggressive. I think they were surprised that I came in. And whenever you talk to someone one-on-one, it humanizes them a little bit. Like, it's harder to totally dismiss somebody when you're actually talking to them.
Right.
Because you realize, like, they're just making a living doing radio, and they look at me like he's just a stupid fucking comic making fun of something. So we wound up getting along, and it was okay. But yeah, I had to deal with that on the road. I went on a few shows that we fought with, like Lex and Terry in Dallas. They were really brutal, those guys. They were harsh. We had nasty fights with them. And then eventually got kind of made up, and I went on their show, and it was fun.
Are any of those shows still around? How many of those radio
I don't know.
shows?
I know Bubba's still around. He's doing something. I don't know if Lex and Terry are. Toucher and Rich just broke up but they were friends. But I mean, like, they were one of those shows that...
Jimmy. Jim Norton.
What a crazy story.
It's a crazy story, but also because we've listened to this, and I'm just gonna load up the little bits because I can't play too much for you guys because it's Jim Norton and he doesn't hold back. He gets a little wild, even especially for YouTube. I was gonna say even for YouTube, no, especially for YouTube,
Yeah.
He gets a little too wild. Let me just this is the first one I'm going to play. Just a few seconds. If you want to see the whole thing, it's Opie and Anthony. It's uploaded by this channel called House 2017. Jim Shreds Roy Den Hollander Classic. That's what it's that's what it's called. So let's play this little bit here.
Now, okay. This is my. I have to answer the phone, but this is my response to your accusation.
Yes.
Peru turns a blind eye to dueling.
Exactly.
Church
And old white men should not take
church
hip-hop
like-
classes.
okay,
That's my
like,
answer to you.
give me a call,
Fucking do,
we'll go down
do the
and
hokey
settle
pokey
this
for
on the-
Pete's sake. Be who you are.
Can you do that?
Don't be mad that you're
Can
not
you do
fucking
that?
hip and
I'm not
relevant and
mad.
women are ignoring you.
Everyone
How
is-
So that was the first little part. I'm going to play one more just so you can hear. I think it's the challenge for the duel again. He challenges him to a duel about 4 times.
Yeah.
He's very serious about it. Here, let's hear the next one.
No, Jimmy, you can call me back and we can go down to Peru, okay? If you got the guts, which I don't think you got.
Go down where?
Go down where?
Peru. To have a little duel, Jimmy.
Peru?
You obviously don't have the guts.
Wait, Peru? Peru for what? What are you talking about?
They
Wait,
allow
Can I go
dueling?
on?
What do we do in Peru?
Dueling. Peru turns a blind eye to dueling. Do we
They
have
allow
to disagree?
dueling?
Oh, what a
Dueling
fucking
don't mean,
asshole.
so I challenge you to a duel.
How about
That's the way
this?
it works.
Oh
That's
my God,
fucking
please.
childish.
Oh, is it?
Jim Norton. Very, when you hear that's how Jim Norton usually is, very composed on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Very, he's just, holding it right back, not going too hard or anything like that.
Because I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
So then I saw him first on Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
And then
seems
heard
to-
this, and I was like, what is going on?
It goes up. It goes up levels when he's on his show doing his thing.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, when it came to their whole discussion, because that's an hour-long discussion that they have where they're just ripping into this guy. They find out, he says white guys shouldn't take a hip-hop class because he finds out that Roy takes a hip-hop class because that's how he likes to meet women, I think he was saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as soon
Girls.
exactly. As soon as you say that to Jim Norton, he's going in. And,
Yeah.
And it's gonna get pretty brutal. I have to say, though, at the same time, it wasn't really funny what they were doing.
No.
Not that I was like, oh, I'm so sad for this guy. It was just like it wasn't funny.
It wasn't like good jokes.
Yeah.
They
it
were
wasn't
just
a good
arguing
joke.
back and forth.
You could tell, especially now that I do this and I have to talk and we're on the fly. There's no teleprompter or anything. They were just trying to fill air.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't want him to go, because they're like, we have a 4-hour show. If we can just get an hour out of this guy, the rest of it'll be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what was happening.
And they kept saying the same thing kind of over and over again. Like
Yeah.
calling him a phony and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And but the thing is, what Joe Rogan said about how much do you think it ramped him up to get to that point? It definitely did. Jim doesn't want to be the person to say, yeah, I probably helped stoke this fire in this guy, but he 100% did. And just so you guys know, that's Roy on the screen there. He 100% did stoke that fire and get this guy to that point.
Well, apparently he was on several different media outlets,
For sure.
from talk shows to radio shows, lots of things, because he was good for ratings.
Of course.
Because everybody would tune in and be like, what is this guy saying?
Yeah. Even this picture that I'm showing you guys, this is him on the Colbert Report.
Yeah.
Back when that was a thing, before
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert just went insane,
Yeah.
just doing wild dances. Doing wild dances on his show and just completely giving into every single narrative they shoved down his throat.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay.
But even on the Colbert Report, they're really making fun of him
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and calling him like a difference maker.
Because what they what they do on the Colbert, they interview him first and then they
Yeah.
put that whole thing
Of course.
together. So he
doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's rough the way people were doing this guy, but yeah, that was the situation with Jim Norton.
Yeah.
And honestly, here's the thing. Jordan Peterson talks about this. He'll talk about, when men have, when they butt heads, when they have discussion, every man knows that if you go too far, the other man will have the recourse of violence.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the world of men. There's no, oh, you're upset? I'm not doing it. It's like, no. You've upset me too far, and now we have to fight.
Yeah.
And when I see you, we're going to fight. It's a universal thing with all men. If you go too much, and Jordan Peterson actually puts parameters on it. He says if you insult somebody and you're not giving them the chance to respond, he goes, that will usually turn to violence.
Interesting.
He's like, also if it's not something that they can laugh along with. So he says, like, once you do those two things, and he mentioned something else, but those are the two I remember. He's like, it will turn into violence. Inevitably, it will turn into violence.
Wow.
Because the man has no recourse. They're just like, okay, I guess we're not friends. Because if we were friends, I'd be laughing with you.
Yeah.
If we were friends, you'd allow me to get back at you a little bit.
Yes.
And we could go
You
back
gotta
and
dig
forth.
in.
So those two things aren't happening. We're not friends. I guess we're enemies. It's time to fight.
Yeah.
That's the world of men. And I'm just saying, Jim Norton, okay, real quick, he's not ready for a fight. I'm just putting him on the screen right now. Jim's not ready for a fight.
Neither of those guys are.
Well, Roy obviously was.
Well, yeah.
Roy
but-
was ready to go to Peru.
Oh my gosh.
and
Which
duel.
isn't even true. I
No?
looked it up. No.
Oh, I wish it was. Roy was just like, whatever, South America, we can do whatever we
Yeah.
want. He's wild. And actually, literally wild. I mean, with what he did and everything,
Yeah.
right? So
What a crazy story.
So I'm just saying, like, you can talk, like, a lot of comedians. I've seen it so many times with guys on stage. I've seen guys get attacked. I've been on shows where somebody will take the microphone, whip it on the ground, and be like, let's go. Like, I'm not, you're in a bar. I'm ready to fight. I'm drunk. I'm going to knock you out. I've seen that many, many times.
Wow.
Many, many times. So you have to be ready for that as somebody who's doing this type of thing. And for some reason, you know, comedians tend to think they're untouchable. And people tend to feel like comedians should be untouchable. And I think they should when it's something like what Dave Chappelle does. But with what Jim Norton was doing in this video, you should understand that some kind of violence will eventually come your way.
I guess eventually.
Yeah. Like, that was like Howard Stern level stuff. And Howard Stern always knew, like, I'm going to keep insulated completely because I say crazy things to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, Howard Stern used to wear blackface.
Really?
Yeah, he used to wear blackface and say terrible things to black people.
That's
And
crazy.
do crazy black impressions. He knew right away, like, I have to stay with my people. And as soon as I have a mansion, I have to stay inside that mansion. Like,
Wow.
he just understood. So, you know, just as somebody who, if you're going to, like, talk a bunch of shit, like, you got to kind of understand, like, somebody's eventually going to want to punch you in the face. You know? This is the way it goes.
Yeah.
But,
Well, it seemed like this guy had he had a, kind of a list of vendettas. And Jim Norton was just one on the list. And was kind of a minor character,
Yeah, right?
considering what he did.
Yeah.
So this guy's whole thing was he did not like women, which is pretty clear in some of the stuff he did.
Yeah. of
But
course.
he got married to this Russian model in like the year 2000. And the marriage only lasted about 9 months.
Oh, really?
Basically, what it looks like happened is he met her when he was traveling for work in Russia.
Okay.
And then they got married like a couple months after they met. They both came over here and she didn't want anything to do with him. So it seemed like kind of a green card thing.
Wow. Okay.
So he accused her of like green card fraud.
Yeah.
And she also accused him of domestic violence.
Wow.
But he denied the allegations. So apparently there's some rule that says if there's an issue with like a green card or immigration status, if somebody is actively saying that somebody is domestically abusing them, then they can stay in the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, she knew that.
Exactly.
There's no way. Listen, I'm not on Roy's side or anything, but she knew that.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's actually brought up at some point during that entire Opie and Anthony show.
Yeah.
He brings it up like without mentioning his wife's name, but he like talks about it as a hypothetical situation. He's like, is this fair?
Yeah.
So it's like clearly still in his mind, even
course.
years and years later.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people think that's kind of how it started, is that he was just totally like disillusioned. And his mother was also horrible and said like nasty things to him. Like, oh, I wish
Wow.
I had never had you when he was 4 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's how this whole thing started. And the judge they were
So it
talking
is women's
about.
fault.
Yeah, probably.
Come on. It's all women's fault. Come on. Do better, ladies.
crazy.
Do better.
Yeah, and he wouldn't call women women. He would only use the word girls.
Girls. I think girls is fine.
It
I know a guy.
depends why and how.
I know a guy. Well, why you'll never actually know.
Yes.
So like, I think girls is fine. I know guys that do female.
That's creepy.
Yeah, I know a guy that does female, and I'm like, what do you mean female? And I was like, we had this discussion. I was like, why do you call them girls? I'm like, because you don't, or you can say ladies, because you don't want to be like, hey, women over here. You know, if you're talking to a group of girls,
Yeah, like
you
if
can
you're
be like,
doing
hey,
it
girls.
like in a friendly way.
Because listen, there are women constantly that will walk up to a group of 45-year-old men and say, boys. And no guy goes, oh, me, what are you talking about? Who are you calling a?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like girls is fine.
Like saying like guys and girls, I think that's fine.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think
But
it's
with
fine.
this guy, like he has a certain personality type. And I think when somebody, like if this guy were to come up to me and say like girl,
Listen, girl.
it would sound derogatory.
Listen, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
girl
different.
is one thing. I guess if it's just one person, but yeah, definitely. Because I've done girls, of course.
Yeah, that's fine. And you can tell intent
yeah.
when somebody's speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was kind of his thing.
But you know what? You know, I don't go with the whole you can tell intent. Because I know a
think you
lot
can.
of black guys who somebody will say boy, and it's just some southern guy, and he's just like, hey, boy. And he's like, who you calling boy? Who you calling boy? And it's like, oh my gosh, the guy's 70 years old. Relax.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to bring you into any field or anything. Like, just cool it. Sometimes it's just like, it's just overboard. Because once you say you can tell intent, you're going with your own mind.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
you're not going with theirs.
That's true.
I've just seen it in that scenario so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. I grew up with somebody. Their dad would call me Cole because my name's Colin.
Yeah.
So he'd be, hey, Cole. And my buddy, another black guy, got really mad. He's like, why are you calling him Cole? Because he thought he was calling Cole like black.
Oh, like, oh my God. So he was the racist one.
He was so mad. He gets so mad every time he heard it. He'd be like, yo, why you don't let him call you Cole, man.
That's
Let him
hilarious.
call you Cole. I'm like, it's fine.
He's just shortening your
You
name.
think he's saying
He's
to
trying
me
to
right
be
now.
friendly.
So funny.
That's so funny.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So the judge who was also on his list, Esther Salas is her name. She was working on a case that he was involved with that had to do with the military draft. So Roy Den Hollander was saying that the draft shouldn't be only for men. It should be for women as well. So this judge was presiding over the case. And I guess he lost, probably. So what ended up happening was he, like they said, he went to her house. I don't know how he even found out where she lived, but went to her house dressed as a FedEx guy with a package in hand and rang the doorbell.
And like the package was probably him holding the.
I don't know.
That's how they do it in like mafia movies and
That's
stuff.
crazy.
That's exactly how they do it.
Yeah. And he, her son answered the door.
And he just didn't even wait to like try to find her or anything.
No.
That's wild.
And then her husband was there as well. And he didn't pass away, but he was shot too.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Whew.
And she was in the basement, so he didn't see her.
Wow. Or else he would have went for her.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
And the craziest part is...
That is a sad story.
Yeah, right? Super sad.
For her? Yeah.
Yeah, incredibly. 8 days before that happened, he did the same thing in California.
To who?
To another guy.
And got him?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so the other guy was another men's rights lawyer who ran some like big kind of group.
He wasn't like on the side. He wasn't like hardcore enough, probably.
Well, I think he was hardcore enough. The issue was that Roy Den Hollander was part of this organization and wanted to be co-counsel on one of the cases they were running and got denied. So he got extremely angry with this guy who like headed the organization, and he was kicked out.
Wow.
Because he was too aggressive.
Yeah, I get that. Because he was probably extremely hardcore, you know?
Yeah. So he got this guy the same way.
And that guy was probably like, in the words of Opie and Anthony and Jim Norton, you are a phony. He was just like,
oh no. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
Wild. You know what's really sad? Is all this guy needed. because he kept going to law and he was really trying to make some differences. All he needed to do was start a YouTube channel. That is all he needed to do. He would have flourished on YouTube. There are so many people who would have loved that type of content. If he was just talking about thing after thing, there are so many channels like that now.
That's true. Where
guys talk about this exact thing. Ladies' night. Why is there no guy studies? Like, there's a whole movement called MGTOW, I believe.
Okay.
Stands for Men Go Their Own Way. So it's like, just like, we don't even want involvement with women. Like, we're done. We're done with, like, we're just finished with you guys. And those guys would have loved him. He'd be a millionaire right now.
Yeah. Can you open up his
no joke,
the website that I sent you?
He'd be rich. His website, his actual website.
Yep.
Here you go.
I don't really think this guy has the tech skills necessary to do a YouTube channel.
All you got to do is click a button. Let me tell you something, people. All you have to do, you're watching YouTube right now. There's a thing that shows your initials, right? Let's just say you're Coach Colin. It says CC, and it's just like a whatever color. Click it, create channel. That's it. Upload a video. You can do it. Just do it 1,000 times. I promise you'll get better. You'll start making money. It's true. He could have done it. He could have done it.
Yeah.
Especially like, think about Andrew Tate. He could have gotten like an Andrew Tate interview if he just pushed on. He could have like Jordan Peterson talks about this exact same stuff. Mm-hmm. He just does it more eloquently.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson did the exact same thing where he said, why don't women take on coal mining? Let's see them even it out on that. Like, why do they just want positions of power? He's like, why don't they go for all the little jobs and everything that we have to do? Jordan Peterson talks about the same stuff. He could have been something, man. He did have cancer though.
Yes, he did.
So, sad.
And I think that was probably the catalyst to what he ended up doing.
Could you imagine you're feeling like you're so downtrodden and then all of a sudden that comes up too? You're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll go to duel with people. I'll go to their houses. I'll do whatever. But he was like on his last, he was on the edge.
Yeah.
Like seriously on the edge.
And the day after he went to the judge's house, he was found on the side of the road after doing the same thing to himself.
Wow.
And in his rental car, there was like a list of names.
Was Jim Norton on it?
Yes.
Jim Norton was on it?
He was on the list.
Okay, so then come on, Jim Norton. The guy's trying to sit around like, oh, I don't think I had much to do. Yeah, you did. You had a whole lot to do with it.
Yeah, he was on the list.
He was one of the first people to do this to him. And honestly, like, Jim Norton's great and he's funny. You know, he has his talent when he's on stage. But he didn't have to do all of that. Like, it was a little far. Especially for Jim Norton. The guy's into trans ladies.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
Everybody knows where I'm going with that. He's like, relax. Okay? He's talking about women. Okay? Like, he's like, oh, I get women. No, you kind of don't, Jim. You kind of don't, though. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, but you don't. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying. He kind of doesn't. You know, I don't know. Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
It was just, it just seemed a little much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, the pursuit, I know, I'm a creator. The pursuit to create content will push you into some weird places sometimes. And that Opie and Anthony show, they kind of got to that place. They used to have, there's like legends named like Patrice O'Neal. He's like a legendary comic. Joe Rogan was on their show a lot. So many comics would just come by and it was like a chill. You just chill and just talk the way they were talking. They would lay into each other, this, that, go back and forth.
Yeah, just like roast each other.
That's when it was iconic. It was iconic then. But when you don't have all of that all of a sudden, and all those people have either passed away or they've moved on to run the biggest podcast in the world, I don't know. It just wasn't the same. Just wasn't the same. Because I used to listen to that quite a bit. And funny enough, that show actually inspired Joe Rogan to start his podcast.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, he was on there and he's like, this is the thing. He's like...
Yeah, just different medium.
Yeah. He was like, radio is silly. Like, this is silly.
Going out.
Because you can't say what you want to say. And then he figured out Ustream.
Yeah.
Because YouTube didn't exist. And he started using Ustream. And iTunes, because there was no other... It used to only be Ustream, iTunes. That was it. That's all
Yeah,
you could do.
that's crazy.
So for the longest time, that's all he really pushed his stuff on.
Yeah.
Which was a godsend because that's what got him the Spotify deal. Because he never put his stuff on Spotify. He's like, what for?
True.
He's like, we have all our advertisers on iTunes.
Yeah.
We get the money from YouTube. He's like, what do we need Spotify for?
Yeah. Smart.
Spotify's first offer to Joe Rogan was $0. They're like, just come.
Oh my gosh. And he's
"What?"
like, why?
Yeah, he was like, why?
Really?
He's like, no money.
And then their second offer was like 200 million. Can you imagine if he just went over?
I wouldn't even trust those people at that point.
No.
The first time, it's like, we'll give you nothing. Okay. We'll give you 200 million. I'd be like, I'm holding out. I'm holding out until you say $500 million.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that was a little fun fact there.
Wow.
But yeah, that's Roy's website. Let me just read this first part. Now is the time for all. I would have you read it, but you're a lady, and Roy wouldn't want it that way.
Yeah, I can't even see it. I don't know why. It won't work on my computer.
She tried to pull it up on her computer, and it wouldn't pop
It
up.
just wouldn't. It was like 404 not
The
found.
ghost of Roy. He's like, nah, no more free lunch, lady.
Yeah.
Now
Girl.
is the time. Yeah, girl. Now is the time for all good men to fight for their rights before they have none left. So many guys feel this way. You have no idea. Contact Roy to help the battle and infringement of men's rights by feminists and their fellow sisters, the PCers. Roy. Man. I'm telling you, he was just ahead of his time. He just had a whole site that was just talking about what he was trying to do. And another thing that Jim Norton kind of did that kind of wasn't true that he said on Joe Rogan's podcast is that he was saying that he just likes to sue women. He likes to sue things that are centered around women. Because
Yes.
when he was suing those nightclub owners...
They're
if
not
you-
women.
Yeah, if you don't know, he was suing nightclub owners for ladies' night.
Yeah.
The fact that they had a ladies' night, drinks, free for ladies before 10 or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they had that, he was suing a bunch of nightclub owners. So it wasn't just women he was suing.
Yeah, he was trying to sue the United States Army
Really?
for the draft.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, so he was just everything that was centered around women that was kind of giving women like an edge.
Yeah.
He was...
And like Columbia University, he was trying to sue.
Yeah, he's just all about just suing whoever's trying to give ladies a leg up. Roy will have none of it. Just amazing.
Yeah, and he
telling
just kept losing.
Yeah, of course.
So many cases.
Because that's why I say a YouTube channel, because there was no need to make these cases.
Yeah.
Just make the case to the people. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny.
He would have been able to. So he could have easily. He just could have been a men's coach, a men's rights coach. So many different things. What he should have really done, especially he was a lawyer, he should have just buckled down and just helped fathers who are in a bad situation, like not able to see their kids.
Yeah.
That's the real thing that is terrible that you see. All this other stuff is just nonsense. Nightclubs and men's guy study, girl studies, all that's nonsense. He should have just focused right there, because that's the saddest thing to see happen.
Yes.
That's it. Just vet the guys, make sure they're good guys, and be like, I'm going to fight for you.
Yeah.
Done.
I feel like you're giving him more credit than he's owed.
Why?
Because I think all of this just comes from a place of he doesn't like women.
Yeah, but
So
still.
it's not that he's actually fighting for equality.
Well, he is fighting for equality. Trust me, I'm not. No. Hold on a second. I've seen too many guys like this right now. It's not that they just hate women, right? They hate certain women. Like he hates his ex-wife.
Yeah,
right.
his mom.
Most guys do.
Fair.
Most men don't like their ex-wives. They just don't, because they end up going through the divorce process and it's terrible for them.
Yeah.
So they don't like their ex-wives. Their mothers, that's a different case. That's a little harsh. I don't know too many guys. I look at a guy who doesn't like his mom and I'm like, ugh, there's a little problem there. I don't like that when I see that. So it's not just that he hates women, but if you're looking to fight for men, because that's what he's really trying to do, have men like have this upper hand or, even type of thing, which is arguable in the first place. He should have just focused there. That would have been his thing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like women, if you don't like going through divorce court and you know what that was like, okay, you could easily just help guys going through that. And that's it. And then you could defeat your ex-wife 1,000 times vicariously through other men.
Yes.
right? Like
If he had taken it that way,
If
great,
he-
all the power to him.
if he even,
but he
I,
did not.
I don't know how. I don't know how being a lawyer works. I don't know if you could just do that. Maybe you have to have a special designation. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I have no idea. But he should have just focused there
Hmm.
and just got off all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
Because it turned into three people passing away.
2, yeah, and one
One
injured.
himself.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
3
So-
and an injury.
Yeah, so and imagine he actually got Jim Norton.
That'd be crazy. I don't know where Jim Norton lives. I
That'd be
assume maybe like
insane.
New York or something, because he said he grew up in
Yes,
New
yes.
Jersey.
He lives in New York. His, I think now wife or girlfriend is from Canada. He stayed in Canada during the pandemic because he wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
And they kind of just lived together
Oh,
because
yeah, I
the
overheard
borders,
that part of the
the borders were
podcast.
closed. And then he came back to New York.
Okay. What's interesting because the judge's house was in New Jersey and he was found in New York. He could have been on the way
True. Wow.
and then knew that they were looking for him.
Jeez. That is sad. That's sad all around. Sad for her, sad for him.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you need mental help.
Yes.
Like if you're at the point where you're doing that, you just need some mental help. You just need some professionals, and then you need some good guys. Like it doesn't sound like he had friends even.
He didn't even have family. Like it came out that he was estranged from his family for many years.
Wow.
Nobody had any comments about like when he passed.
Whoa.
Like he was just alone.
Yeah, see, that's terrible.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a terrible, terrible way to live and to go.
Going back to the nightclubs, it just occurred to me that
What?
where we live, it is illegal to have ladies' night. You can't do that.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Which is so funny. That's why we don't see it here.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. I think it's just silly. I think it's silly all around.
Yeah. But then one other interesting thing.
But I don't care about clubs.
No.
I've gone to a club twice in my life.
And it was always probably terrible. I always hated clubs.
Yeah. It was terrible.
There was a New York Post article I sent you.
This?
No, there's another one.
Another one. Oh, this.
Yeah. So the New Jersey judge, Esther Salas, took on Epstein case days before deadly shooting.
Wow.
Just kind of interesting.
Wow. Did they think it was linked to that at first or something?
No, they didn't. I just thought it was kind of a weird, interesting link that this lady was involved. It was a lawsuit from Deutsche Bank investors who were claiming that the bank didn't properly vet.
Epstein?
Yes,
Wow.
because he had so many weird money laundering charges, and they didn't flag anything.
Flag. What are you going to do?
I don't know. Especially when it's like millions of dollars going in and out, and that benefits the bank.
Given who was on that guy's list, allegedly, he's probably one of the most powerful people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean flag?
True.
He
True.
probably knew somebody in there.
True.
Not flagging that guy.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that happened to be that judge.
They're not even going to flag him now because he's still alive.
Yeah, never know.
100% still alive.
Yeah.
Of course. Are you crazy? It's insane. He's alive. Of course he's alive. He's alive and he's out doing what he does. 1,000,000%. There's no doubt about it. People think he's gone. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. How often do you see the most evil people die like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't. They get to go. There's a reason they say the good die young. It's the good people that go. Guys like that, they just say, well, I know someone who runs this jail, and I got pictures of this guy, and this guy is the governor of this place. Okay, so I'm going to make this call. I'm going to tell Maxine to send this picture to this person, and I'm going to be out of here. And we'll just make a whole ruse of this whole thing. That's it. That's exactly what happened. Then I'll send my brother in to start looking into my case. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my God.
Cause all this stuff. Because right away, he passes away, and then money comes out of his account.
That's weird.
The guy's gone.
Yeah.
No one else can do it. Large amount of money goes out of his account.
That's crazy.
Then also, I want to say it was either his plane, something was moving that shouldn't have been able to move because he's gone. He's not gone. Nah, no chance. And that list isn't coming out. You're not seeing a real list. You're just seeing people like talking about things. There's no list. They're not doing that. They're not doing that for you. They won't even fix your water. They're not doing that for you. They're not giving you a list. Here's the list. The FBI has the list. Aren't the FBI just supposed to go and lock people up? Why are they giving it to us? Am I going to go lock them up? Are you? Why do we need the list? Just give it to the FBI. Put those people in jail. It's never going to happen. Never. Not one person. Nothing's going to happen from that ever. Nah, I don't think so. That's just me. Anyway. Little sidebar from Roy. But yeah, what else you got? Anything?
That's all I had on Roy.
Yeah, that's it. Rest in peace, Roy. Rest in peace to her son.
Oh,
How old was he?
Sad. 20.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to all people involved. That is a very sad situation and kind of shows how important, going back to what we talked about in another episode, we're talking about the native tribes.
Yeah.
How important community is.
Yeah. Support systems.
Yeah. It's
People
so important.
around you.
It's so important. You need it.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you can just go down such a dark road. Like imagine you just have these things and your only interaction with people is going to court.
Yeah.
To
Maybe
sue
that's why he
people.
did it.
Yeah.
Just to talk
know?
to people.
And then he's like, oh, ladies' night and this and that. He's mad about this, he's mad about that. Like,
Yeah, you're just mad all the time, and then you're not winning, and it's you feel like everybody's fighting you.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah,
And then
being
you go
made
on some
fun of.
show. Yeah, you go on some show. They're making fun of you.
Multiple shows.
Yeah. Jeez. I'm telling you, today he'd be Andrew Tate. Except he wouldn't be CIA because Andrew Tate's CIA. You know what? Real quick before we go, I was talking to someone from Andrew Tate's The Real World. He has this thing where he can't be on social media, but he has other platforms that are connected to like his schools and stuff. I was talking to one of them and they blocked me because I gave them all the evidence to show that he's in the CIA, and they got mad and they're like, "You're a hater. You're not a serious person and you're a hater." And I was like,
Okay.
I was like, just tell me how he's not. I'm like, if you're dedicating your life to this guy, I'm like, tell me how he's not in the CIA.
Yeah.
And then they were like,
And that's not even hating.
it's not. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you, the CIA. That's a
so weird.
upstanding job. Good for you. Public servant. Good for you. But yeah, he got really mad that I said all this stuff.
Weird.
I was like, his dad is in the CIA. I'm like, they make this much money. I'm like, he made this much money. He probably got some kind of severance. How did Andrew Tate grow up poor? He's just like, bro, I'm not saying anything more to you. I'm just saying.
I have questions.
I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, he said he was poor, but his dad's in the CIA. He had a bunch of money. I don't get it. Like, what happened? Like, why does he look up to his dad if his dad didn't give him anything?
Yeah.
So his dad had money, didn't give him anything, and he still loved and respected him? It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Andrew Tate is the new Jim Morrison. All right, I've gone on long enough. Are you done?
All done.
I'm done too. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And other than that, we are out.
Bye.